I have work from 4 different projects in this exhibition, and I thought it would be good to sort of survey a lot of things that I've done, not from the very beginning, but from near the beginning of my time here at Stockton. And so the first project is Small Towns, Black Lives, which I did, and eventually it became an exhibition and a publication with the Noise Museum. Then Schools for the Colored, which is a survey of African American schools, segregated schools between New Jersey and Illinois. All of the projects are really connected. It's all work that's connected to the history of African Americans in the United States. Some of the things in the exhibition of my work are in some ways celebratory, and some of them are very painful. So they range. One of the great things about the Guggenheim Fellowship is the money is given without any strings at all. So it just provided me with an opportunity to purchase some equipment and it allowed me to spend money on travel. So I started traveling around. That's when I started doing Schools for the Colored and traveling to Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois to make photographs of all these different sites where these schools had once existed. So it just provided that extra freedom to do that work.
The one that's right behind me is the most recent work, and it has to do with Wall Street and also Connecticut and London, the London slave trade. Biggest part of the exhibition is the Caribbean work. So that includes the islands of Barbados, St. Kitts, Jamaica, and Trinidad Tobago. All the work has to do with slavery, the vernacular of it. When I say the vernacular, that is the buildings and where the slave trade took place and what it produced. What you find right behind me are the places that financed the slave trade or that profited from it in terms of capital or wealth accumulation. So there are two very different kinds of visualities there. In the gallery here, you're looking at a composite portrait of what remains of the history of slavery. So in order to get all of those different pieces together so that you have a composite portrait of this environment, it takes money and it takes time. And that's what the fellowship let me do. It let me put together this pictorial record that I don't believe anyone else has done.
This is work from overdue conversation with my father. I manipulate images from his archive to create other work that speaks to our time. He made this work during a time of Jim Crow, and so I'm sort of pulling it forward to make comments on where we are today and sort of race relations. My dad was a photographer in the 1940s and 50s. He photographed in a small town, Fort Gibson, Oklahoma, that was 50-50 black and white. The town was segregated, as all towns were back then, but he photographed primarily the black community. So a lot of the people that are in these images are some relatives, some family friends, just community members. I didn't really want to know who the people were because I didn't want that to affect how I created the images from those images. Back then, black people were sort of in this position of sort of being unfinished as much as these negatives were. So, but within that sort of idea of being unfinished, there's some beauty and there's some magic in there. So that's what I'm sort of playing off of with these images.
The Dust-Shaped Hearts, it's a suite of family, my siblings. And there are always stories that kind of go with that. And I think my favorite would probably be Brother Who taught me to see. And there's always a story that goes with that I like. When I was about 8 years old, he was in college. And he's the first one to get his degree in art. So he was at Columbia University. He came home for Christmas, brought his books. And the 8-year-old me went down very early. And I got into his history books. And I didn't quite understand the diagrams that were around the paintings. And so he came downstairs, caught me in his books. And I thought he was going to kind of yell at me, but he didn't. He explained to me how to diagram the compositions and the weight of color, how you balance through the speed of a line. And so at 8 years old, I got my first lecture in composition. 40 years later, he came back from Trinidad, and he was spending his last weeks of life with cancer. And so we were all together as siblings. And so I photographed all of us. And he really couldn't even sit up, but I photographed him. And I took a piece of work over because I was just finishing up grad school, and I wanted him to see what I was doing professionally. And he looked at the piece and he said, "It's really beautiful, beautiful composition. Where did you learn composition?" And I said, "Well, you taught me." He said, "You're damn right." So he remembered, like 40 years later, that he had taught me composition.
I think in part it is about bringing together 4 artists who are photographers, who work in the Philadelphia region, who are also friends and colleagues, but who collectively push the boundaries of what photography can do as a medium and how it can actually be a conveyor of narrative. So I'm fascinated by how their practices have overlapping interests, but look completely different.
So I've just seen the exhibit today for the first time, and I have to say that I was completely blown away by the tremendous work that's been done by all 4 of the artists who are exhibited here. I've seen things that range from documentary to things that are very creative in terms of process. It's really, I think, captured the wide range of the field of photography. And the interspersing of text and image is something in some of them, and others use collage, and still others use maps. And it's really just an exhibition that really, and it includes both color and black and white. And I think it's an exhibition that really sort of covers a really broad span of the photographic practice as the field is known today.